Assalamu alaikum family and peace unto you. I am making this video again because of something that I am reading in the Gleaner. And here I am reading the Gleaner and I am reading the words of our Prime Minister, and it pulls me out again. So I want to say this, that I am not currently an what you would call an ardent social media personality. And there was a time when I would never have been seen on social media. So much so that I had some associates who would ask me if I was afraid of social media. One sister said, "Brother, you need to come out of your shell." But the coronavirus actually pulled me out of my shell and pulled me into social media, even though I am not one of those popular social personalities. When I see things like these, I have to comment on things like this. And usually the things that pulls me out on social media are things that has to do with the government. Government's actions are inactions. So that makes me appear when I come on social media like a PNP. So most people won't listen to me because I am speaking against government policies. But I am neither PNP nor JLP. I am no P. I'm just a Jamaican citizen who is concerned about certain things that I see happening with and to the Jamaican people that I have to address. Now, this is one thing from the Gleaner. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has indicated that new vaccination policies are to be implemented after the government completes its public education campaign. Holness noted, that in the interim, all sections of the population must be exposed to information about the vaccine and given the choice and opportunity to get vaccinated. We will respect people's rights and the process before we do anything. But we can't continue like this for much longer. Our children must go back to school. They have suffered the most, and so there will come a time when we will have to insist upon persons taking the vaccines, said Holness. Now, what does this mean, Mr. Prime Minister? What does it mean you will have to insist on people taking the vaccines? Are you using our babies as a scapegoat to say our babies are suffering because they have not been able to do face to face? So as a result of them not being able to do face to face, now you will have to force vaccination upon the people. Okay, so this says that you have so much love for our youth. 2 days ago on the news, 2 babies got shot. Our baby and a child, 5-year-old girl, got shot in her bed and died in New Haven in St. Andrew. In St. James in Montego Bay, a 10-year-old got shot, 10-year-old girl, and she's battling for her life in the hospital. Mr. Prime Minister, I have never heard you spoke against those acts of violence and callousness on the part of those who were involved in those gunfights that led to our children being shot. So if you care so much about our children, about our babies, how come you haven't said anything about that? Don't you believe it would give you a good face if you had actually gone yourself into New Haven, foot on the ground, boots on the ground, Mr. Prime Minister, walking through those communities and telling the people that these things must stop, giving a warning to the gangsters that this will not continue? Don't you believe that the people would feel you more and would believe in you more and believe that your care and concern for them with this vaccine is actually legitimate? It doesn't show a legitimate face when it's just about the vaccine. And you care now so much about our children. You want them to go back to school. You don't care about those who die. That doesn't bother you. Let me go on back to the reading in the Gleaner. He made the remarks on Thursday during a tour of a vaccination blitz site in North Central Clarendon. In addition, Holness acknowledged that in the past, vaccine had saved societies from being destroyed, and now Jamaica is at the point where the virus has impacted the way of life. Are you talking about polio vaccines? The polio vaccine actually stopped the polio, but did you know that the monkey virus that was in the polio vaccine actually was cancerous and gave thousands of persons cancer who later died? The simian virus 40, SV40. Go look it up. In the polio vaccine, killed many after persons, after we would have eliminated the polio virus from among the population. So he goes on. He said it should be understood that if we don't take the vaccine, the country will not return to normal. Those who don't take the vaccine remain the host population for the reproduction and mutation of the virus. That is not true. Come on, Mr. Prime Minister, tell the truth. Don't give stories to the people that are not true. Don't make up stuff and tell the country things that you know for sure is not true. I'm going to read an article that says fully vaccinated countries are the highest number of COVID cases. Listen to this. A study published September 30 in the peer-reviewed European Journal of Epidemiology Vaccines found no discernible relationship between the percentage of population fully vaccinated and the new COVID cases. In fact, the study found that most fully vaccinated nations had the highest number of new COVID cases based on the researchers' analysis of emerging data during a 7-day period in September. The authorities said that the sole reliance on vaccination as a primary strategy to mitigate COVID-19 and its adverse consequences need to be re-examined, especially considering the Delta B.1.617.2 variant and the likelihood of future variants. Persons who are not vaccinated are not the carriers of new variants, Mr. Prime Minister. Mr. Prime Minister, the persons who have taken the job are the carriers of the new variants, because it's like spraying a poison on a cockroach. Think about this. You spray the cockroach and the cockroach escapes, but the cockroach is now familiar with that particular uh, insecticide, and it builds up a resistance against it. So the next time you come with that insecticide, guess what? The cockroach is now stronger than that, and you have to now find a stronger insecticide to deal with that cockroach or that insect. And that is what is happening with the vaccines and the new variants. The virus is transforming or mutating to evade this spike protein, synthetic spike protein that is being injected through the vaccine. Mr. Prime Minister, tell the truth or learn the science. The scientists are all over. You don't just listen to one side. That's not what proper leadership is about. Listening to just one side. And that's the end all and be all. Listen to all the sides and get the facts. Study, weigh, get the facts, and then bring the facts to the people. And don't hold the people ransom by just your ideology and what you have in mind and the agenda that you are pushing, that I am not going to say is your agenda. And I can't say whose agenda it is, because if I don't have the facts, I can't say that. But I know it's not your agenda. See, there are countries that are pushing this thing as much as you are pushing it, Mr. Prime Minister. And we don't know what this is all about. But with all these free incentives, taxis getting $2,500 for free gas, people, a lottery, you just take the vaccine or take the job and you are placed in a $250,000 lottery. All of these things that's happening tells us, as we know one thing is for certain, that there is no free lunch. Nothing in life that is of value has ever come for free. So now we have to start following the money. We have to start following the money. And when we start following the money, when we find a track, that track line, when we follow the money, where will it end, Mr. Oldness? Will it also find its way at your feet? I'm not saying, I'm just asking questions, because I don't know. Me just asking questions. Will it find its way at your feet, Mr. Oldness? Mr. Oldness, I'm just saying, as usual, as I always say, man, look, the country voted for you. A percentage of the electorate voted for you. Small number, but within that small number, you got the majority. So your responsibility is not to the minority. Your responsibility is to the majority. Check this out. Let me see if I can go back to the Gleaner, because there was something very important here that I read also. In this regard, Holness said that it is unfair for people to want that right to not take the vaccine and move about freely and do as they wish to be respected, while those who are vaccinated endure hardships. Wow. In this regard, Holness said that it is unfair for people to want to take the vaccine and move about freely and do as they wish, to be respected while those who are unvaccinated endure hardships. As such, he noted that societies with a similar constitutional basis as Jamaica have recognized this unfairness and have implemented measures to differentiate between those who are vaccinated and those who are unvaccinated. In the meantime, while many sectors have called for the government to immediately implement differentiating measures, Prime Minister said he respects the right and freedom of Jamaicans and believes that there must be a period of reasoning with Jamaicans to ensure they recognize that their freedom is not without obligation and responsibility. That is talking from a far tongue. Those who don't take the vaccine remain the host population for the reproduction of and mutation of the virus. The consequence of this is that the people who would have taken the vaccine will face the potential of being infected by a mutated version of the virus for which the original vaccine they took would not be as effective. All of that is crazy. I say, follow the majority of people, Mr. Prime Minister. Only 10% of Jamaicans so far have taken the vaccine. In the Gleaner RJR than Anderson polls, 70% say they were not for mandatory vaccines. And a great percentage say they were not for taking the vaccines. So, your job is to serve the masses of the Jamaican people and not the massa or the master, so-called, of Jamaica. Because we don't have any masters, not that we know of, except the Almighty. Do you have a master, Mr. Prime Minister? Is there a puppet master that is at play and determining which direction we must go? And is there a consequence for you to suffer if you don't take the country in the direction that the puppet master determines that you go? These are questions, Mr. Prime Minister. And I say, serve your people, serve the Jamaican people, and let go of the master. And if it was a deal and if it was something that you got, give it back. Peace. Assalamu alaikum.